Caitlin Clark coming for the handle. Aliyah Boston refuses to hand the ball off. Look, she refuses to hand the ball off. It's ridiculous. Everybody can see the chemistry part of what's going on with Caitlin Clark and Makayla Timpson. Makayla Timpson is a better fit with Caitlin Clark than Aliyah Boston.
Something is broken between Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, and it's been broken for a while now. Nobody wants to say it out loud, but the tape has been saying it for weeks. There's a name sitting on this roster that might already be the fix for all of it. Makayla Timpson. Hold on to that, because we're coming back to her. To understand how strange this current stretch actually is, you have to remember what this partnership used to look like. Boston's rookie year. This was one of the best young partnerships in the league.
Now, if Aliyah Boston wants to get her mind right and get out of this hub stuff and get back to playing the way she played with Caitlin Clark rookie year, then cool. But if not, she needs to sit her ass on the bench and stay there.
Analysts called it one of the most productive rookie pick-and-roll combinations the league had seen in years, and the numbers backed it up. She ran the floor for Clark. She screened for her. She caught, she scored. She made the best player on the team better just by being on the court with her. Coaches around the league were pointing to it as a blueprint for how to build around a generational guard. That version of Aliyah Boston doesn't exist anymore. And whatever's replaced her is dragging this team down at the exact moment they can't afford it.
Aliyah Boston just goes backwards and doesn't even touch the guard on the screen. Makayla Timpson sets a real screen. That allows Caitlin Clark to snake the screen, get to the opposite side of where the pick came, and Makayla Timpson setting a real screen. Caitlin Clark is able to get in the lane. This is the difference. Aliyah Boston doesn't do any of this anymore. She don't screen, she don't pass to her, she don't make layups. She wants to play point guard.
The frustrating part is that nothing about her physical tools changed. She's still the same size, the same athlete, the same player who was drawing praise a year ago for how naturally she fit alongside Clark. What changed is what she's choosing to do with the ball in her hands. And that's a much harder thing to fix than a shooting slump or a lost step. A slump ends on its own eventually. A player actively drifting away from her most effective role doesn't fix itself, not without someone forcing the issue. Somewhere along the way, she stopped being a finisher and started trying to be an initiator.
Aliyah Boston wants to bring the ball up the floor. Aliyah Boston wants to be a hub. Aliyah Boston wants to stand at the three-point line and block driving lanes. Aliyah Boston doesn't want to hand the ball off. Aliyah Boston doesn't want to finish around the rim. I mean, Makayla Timpson is making every layup she shoots. Aliyah Boston shooting layups like Angel Reese nowadays, bro. We got to keep it real here.
She's holding the ball instead of moving it. She's drifting off screens instead of setting them. She's rushing layups that used to be automatic. The numbers back up what the eye test has been screaming for weeks. Her touches at the rim are down. Her assists off the short roll. The exact read that made this pairing work as a rookie have quietly dried up, replaced by possessions where she's out at the perimeter trying to run offense from 25 feet, a role nobody asked her to take on, and one she's clearly not suited for right now.
Caitlin Clark wide open. Wide open. Aliyah Boston refuses to pass her the ball. And this is just one play. Look at Caitlin Clark, frustrated, okay? This is one play. They're like, Aliyah Boston does this all game. Caitlin Clark coming for a handoff. She won't hand it off. She refuses to hand the ball off. Caitlin Clark gets it to her on a pick and roll. She gets it rejected. Aliyah Boston is not good with Caitlin Clark anymore.
So what changed? Because a player doesn't just forget how to play like this on her own. Something got into her head, and there's been reporting connecting it directly to Stephanie White, pulling Boston toward a bigger, ball-dominant role that might make sense on a whiteboard and isn't working on the floor. It's easy to see the appeal of that pitch from Boston's side. Every young player wants more control, more say in how the offense runs through them. More proof that they're not just a finisher waiting for someone else to create for them.
You seem to have let Stephanie Bonehead White get in your ear, get in your head, and completely ruin the once great chemistry you had with Caitlin Clark.
But wanting a bigger role and being the right fit for that role on this specific team, with this specific point guard already on the roster, are two very different things. Whatever the theory behind it, the cost is obvious. Boston's trying to play point guard on a team that already has the best point guard alive. And every possession she spends chasing that role is a possession Caitlin Clark doesn't get the ball where she does the most damage in the league. Here's where it gets uncomfortable for Indiana.
Makayla Timpson runs the floor. We don't have Makayla Timpson trying to play point guard. We don't have Makayla Timpson being a hub. When I found out Aliyah wasn't playing, I said, hey, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this is a good thing because maybe this forces Stephanie White to actually let the best point guard in the world be the actual point guard of the team and not have the center bringing the ball up with Caitlin Clark playing off ball all game.
When Boston sat, the offense didn't fall apart. It looked better. Makayla Timpson stepped into that void and brought back everything that's been missing. She sets real screens, the kind that actually free Clark instead of just standing near her. She finds soft spots in a defense mid-possession instead of forcing something that isn't there. She catches the ball in stride and finishes instead of hesitating, and when Clark throws ahead in transition, it's Timson getting there now, not Boston, because Timson's the one still sprinting the floor like her job depends on it.
I think it has been abundantly clear in a very quick amount of time with Makayla Timpson being inserted into the starting lineup that her chemistry with Caitlin Clark is off the hook at this point. I mean, it's off the hook. The pick and roll looks great.
What makes this especially pointed is that nobody handed Timson this opportunity under ideal circumstances. She wasn't eased into the starting lineup with a plan built around her strengths. She got thrown into it because the alternative wasn't working. And instead of looking overwhelmed by the moment, she looked like she'd been waiting for it. That's not the profile of a player who got lucky for one night. That's the profile of a player who understood her role the entire time and was simply waiting for the minutes to prove it. It's not just the flashy stuff either.
You got Caitlin Clark here. Dribbling, she's going to be triple team.
Here, Caitlin Clark on the drive.
Triple team. Makayla Timpson finds the open space, makes the short lay-in. Just the first play. You're going to see. Boom. Makayla Timpson sets a screen for Caitlin Clark. They put 2 on the ball.
Watch her off the ball for a full possession, and you'll see the boring, unglamorous habits that actually make a role player worth something next to a star. Cutting into open space instead of standing still. Boxing out instead of leaking early for a transition bucket that isn't coming. That's not the kind of thing that makes a highlight package. It's the kind of thing that makes an offense function. And it's exactly what's gone missing from the Boston pairing. Kelsey Mitchell said as much without naming any of this directly after the game.
Oh man, Sue, it's so great. I think where she at is limitless, and I think that where she can keep going it's going to be amazing. I think her athleticism, her ability to be able to be on the boards and just kind of be in the movement in space and being able to know how to operate with us at such a young age, I think it's great. And I love KK because she's a sponge, and she's always willing to learn, and so I think the sky's the limit for her for sure.
Talking about Timson's growth, her instincts, the sense that there's no ceiling on where she's headed. That's not just a nice quote about a young player having a good night. That's a teammate confirming out loud what the tape's already shown. None of this is a talent argument. Boston is bigger, more gifted, more skilled than Timson in almost every category that shows up on a scouting report. This was never about who's the better basketball player in a vacuum. It's about fit.
I'm sorry, AB. Yes, you are more purely gifted, more purely talented, but the way you want to play now seems to not fit with Caitlin Clark. You seem to have lost the chemistry that was built up.
And about a player who's wandered away from the exact role that once made her essential to the best player on her own team. Talent pointed in the wrong direction doesn't help anybody win. And the clock on this is running whether Indiana wants to admit it or not. This is a team with a 2-time MVP caliber, talent at guard, and a real shot at a championship, while she's still this good, this early. That window doesn't sit open forever, and it doesn't wait around for a front court piece to rediscover a fit she's drifted away from. Every week this goes unaddressed is a week the offense runs worse than it should, Clark gets fewer clean touches, and a team built to win right now spends its energy managing a problem that already has a solution sitting on the bench. And it's worth asking what this actually costs beyond one lineup decision. Every missed connection between Clark and Boston is a possession the Fever don't get back. Every game this drags on is a game where the margin for error in a tight playoff race gets a little thinner.
Caitlin Clark bringing it up, throwing it up, Makayla Timpson running the floor. Why is Caitlin Clark able to get these throw-aheads to the bigs? Y'all remember Caitlin Clark used to get these throw-ahead layup passes to Aliyah Boston? It never happens now. You know why? Because Aliyah Boston is busy trying to dribble the ball up the court herself. If Makayla Timpson was trying to dribble the ball up, she wouldn't have been all the way up here for the throw ahead. Because she's running the floor. Aliyah Boston don't want to do that no more. She wants to dribble it up herself.
Franchises don't usually get handed a talent like Clark and then a second chance to build the right roster around her. Indiana has that talent right now, and the clearest path to using it well has been sitting on the bench in street clothes some nights while a more expensive, more talented player tries to force a role that isn't hers. Because that's really what this comes down to. This isn't a mystery. Boston's decline has a clear shape to it, and somewhere in the middle of chasing a bigger role, she stopped being the player who made Caitlin Clark better. Makayla Timpson quietly became that player instead, and the fix has been sitting on this roster the whole time, buried under a lineup decision that stopped matching what the tape's been showing. There's still a version of this where Boston gets it back. Nobody's saying her career is defined by one stretch of games, and nobody's saying she can't return to the player who made this pairing dangerous in the first place. But that return starts with an honest look at what's actually working right now. Not with more possessions spent trying to force a role that isn't hers. The Fever don't have time to wait for that self-reflection to happen on its own schedule. Not with the version of Caitlin Clark they have right now. Not with the kind of season that's still in front of them if the pieces around her actually fit. So here's the real question. Does Aliyah Boston find her way back to the player she was as a rookie, the one who built this chemistry in the first place? Or has Makayla Timpson already taken that spot for good? Drop your read in the comments, because it feels like the tape's already starting to answer that question on its own. If you want more breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe here on Courtside Leaks. We're in every one of these matchups the moment the footage drops, and this Boston situation is far from over.